Hi, Shania. How you doing? Thank you so much for including your clothes hanger as an iPad stand. I was kind of hoping you were going to choose this one because I think this is really a practical solution. This would totally work. If you had a wire hanger and you bent it up the right way, I think it would totally work. So I love this one. So let's go ahead and take a look. I'm going to read this the way I'm seeing it, and then I'm going to suggest some areas for improvement. And then I'm going to close by saying, please let me know if you have any questions. But before we get started, I just want to reinforce the importance of going through and reviewing as many videos as you can, video critiques, because there's certainly going to be information in there that is pertinent to your work. And, plus it's a public forum. There's no reason. I mean, honestly, if I was a student, I would go through all of the video critiques because it's a public forum. They're there for you, right? Might as well, because I can guarantee you're gonna get value out of each and every video critique. So just because it's not addressed to you doesn't mean it's not part of a public forum, and it is. You're perfectly welcome, and I encourage you to review as many videos as you can. Okay, so let's take it from the top. I'm going to go through and I'm going to describe what I see. Then we'll talk about improvement. All right. So first frame, you're introducing the setting and the main characters: mama, baby. The setting is the kitchen. All right. Then we go to the baby. She apparently puts the baby down, all right, and gives the baby an iPad. The baby doesn't like holding the iPad, then throws it, and it lands on the floor. Then she gets this idea, bends the clothes hanger, assembles the clothes hanger as a holder, places it on the table, and all is well, right? So we're following the narrative beautifully, but I think there's a couple of steps that we can add. Right now you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 frames, which is perfect. These 3 frames, so I think we can add, because these 3 frames could be considered one, right? Because it's just showing that we're bending the clothes hanger. I think we could add some frames. Let me tell you what I'm getting at here. So I don't think we need this first frame here because number one, the setting changes, all right? The setting changes to where the baby is laid to rest. So to introduce the narrative with the main setting instead of introducing the narrative, then changing the setting immediately, I think that could cause some confusion. So instead of showing mom cooking with the baby, let's start by showing mom maybe getting ready to place baby in its little blankets in bed there. Okay, so it's irrelevant what she's doing. The point is we're introducing the setting where she's in her apartment or her house and she's laying the baby down to rest. Okay, so we have the opening frame of the apartment, the mom laying her baby down to rest. Okay, then the second frame then we can take it from here. The second frame here, maybe in the second frame we show the baby being really restless and maybe the mom's face back here with a frustrated look on her face. Okay, so maybe we could go from the first frame to the second frame where the baby's wiggling around to the third frame where the baby's still wiggling around. You show his mom's face with a real frustrated look. So then we show her handing the baby the iPad. Right now it's important to show her hand on the other side of the iPad and make sure her hand is recognizable from a previous illustration of her, just so the viewer knows that mama is handing baby the iPad. So we don't just assume that the iPad showed up out of nowhere. Right? Then we see that baby is not happy with the iPad. The baby throws the iPad lands. All right. Now, at this point, instead of going from the problem to immediately to the solution, can we introduce a frame that shows her frustration? We've showed one frame up here that's her frustration, but let's reinforce that frustration by, at this point right here, the baby throws the iPad and instead of going straight to solution, we go to one of these moments where she's like, oh, now what do I do, right? Then showing the next frame from what do I do now to wait a second, I have an idea with the light bulb and maybe a finger up going, aha, all right. Then we can show you can either do one of two things. You can actually show her grabbing a hanger out of the closet, or you can just go straight to the hanger. I think either way is fine. Then you're going to start, you're going to fold the hanger. That's great, right? Now, what I would recommend at this point is I'm trying to figure this out. I'm going to suggest, but be really careful if you do this, to grab an actual hanger and try to fold it in the way that would work here, okay? Because I'm guessing that just to make this a little bit more clear, I would say you have this here at the ends of the hanger, and maybe have the hook of the hanger coming out the back, just so we know that this hanger has been folded into a configuration that will hold the iPad, all right? At that point, we show baby happy. This is the epilogue. This is the final scene, success, right? Maybe we could show the mom here sitting back, reading a book or relaxing with a cup of coffee or something now that baby is content, right? So think about that. Does that make sense? I mean, I think those little additions make a lot of sense. And the point here, the whole idea is that we don't confuse the viewer at all, because one point of confusion, I mean, in my work as a professional illustrator in areas where I illustrate processes or procedures, infographics even to a high degree. But the biggest caveat is that you don't want to lose or create confusion. In Remember last week when Jay left those examples of Jay is the professor Hollick who left those examples of illustration. I think one was for the airplane. And think about that. Think about how important it is not to lose the viewer into every step. So we think about information graphics on that airplane card where it shows you how to exit the plane. Imagine if that wasn't specifically clear. If there's any point of confusion in there, it could literally cause lives. And the reason I bring that up is just because it's so very important that we don't give ourselves a chance to create any confusion. What happens if you create confusion in this kind of a narrative or this kind of story illustrated is that if there's a point of confusion halfway through, we're risking the fact that the viewer is going to go, I don't get this, get frustrated and just move on, right? So we want to avoid that. We want to make sure that this everything makes sense and we're not making any grand assumptions here, right? So definitely think about that, and I think it's going to work out. So great job. You've got this is great. I love the fact that you're not confining these to individual squares, the frames of the narrative. I love the fact that they have an open organic relationship with the picture plane. And I love the fact that you're actually connecting the frames to allow the viewer to know the path through the narrative. My question is, what can we use other than little dots? Something really fun. Like a great example would be this. As you introduce the baby, maybe put a little rattle in his hand and then use the little rattle as a trail through. Do you see what I'm saying? Something like that I think would be really fun and interesting. So I've given you a lot to think about, right? So let me know, of course, if you have any questions, and think about employing these. And again, as I said, it will help to go through a lot of these other videos and see if you can gather information that will help. For sure you're going to, so feel free. All right, so at this point, of course, Shania, let me know if you have any questions at all, okay? Fantastic card. Thank you very much for sharing.